started the group, I was the one curating the content, right? And starting the conversations. And then people kind of learn, like, this is what this group's about. This is what's acceptable in here. And I think when you kind of train your group of what you want, once you start pouring into your group and kind of showing them what you want and having a good mix of content, it starts to grow and evolve, and the group kind of does what you want it to do.
Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome, everyone, to another amazing episode of Referrals Podcast. Yes, it's going to be amazing. I already know it's going to be amazing, and you're going to find it amazing too. And today is, how do you build a community online? Should you build a community online? And the answer to that is yes, by the way. For those of you that are listening to this, whenever you got your license to do lending, license to become a real estate agent, to become a salesperson. A salesperson, by definition, is a leader. You will find that being the leader of a community, what I call a tribe of trust, is going to be one of the most lucrative and also fulfilling activities that you can do. And today we're going to dive deep into that with our guest, Laura Griffin. Before I bring her on, I've got to do a couple of things. Number one, I got to give a shout out from our Generosity Generation Facebook group. Just recommended Michael J. Maher's 7L. That's 7L right there. No plug. If you're watching this on YouTube, you just saw me point at 7L, the 7 levels of communication. Otherwise, you heard me point to it, which is probably a different experience. And Gen to 2 agents via a Compass speed dating online networking event. So Compass, the real estate company, is having a speed dating online networking event. I'll have to maybe find out more about that. The things they said about how they do business made it seem like a natural fit. Other agents, maybe not so much. I'll keep an eye out for their names here in the group. George Klinkar, thank you so much for recommending 7L, recommending Join Gen. And that's what I want to do right now. If you're listening to this, you're probably a great member of the Generosity Generation, or you would make a great member of the Generosity Generation. I encourage you to join our referral group, our tribe of trust, at joingengen.com, joingengen.com. That will get you to the point where you can apply for admission, answer 3 quick questions. We'll get you in, and you can start getting referrals. You can start getting into the conversation. We'd love to get to know you better. We'd love to refer you. Go to joingengen.com. Speaking of generous, we have a very generous guest here today with us. Laura Griffin is an expert at leveraging Facebook groups for lead generation in her real estate business. With over 15 plus years in the real estate industry, she has leveraged the power of her local mom Facebook group with over 10,000 moms into her main lead generation source, creating over $20 million in sales as a result of her Facebook group. She has been honored to be recognized as a top producer in the Northern Virginia Association of Realtors year after year after year. Without further ado, let's welcome to Referrals Podcast, Laura Griffin. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm so glad to have you, and to find out that you are in the process of conquering COVID for the second time makes me I'm not worthy. You're an overachiever.
A little raspy, but that's okay. We'll get through this.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I appreciate you being up to this and helping us out today. And I know the audience is going to get a ton of value out of this. And I'm gonna literally just cut right to the chase and just what motivated you to start your Facebook group?
So this is going to come as a surprise. I started the group. So my daughter is 10 and my son is 7.5. Oh, he'll be 8 in January. I started it just after having him. I started a group for local moms, and it wasn't a lead generation source. It was just like, I'm a mom with 2 kids. I don't know what I'm doing. And I wanted some friends. We had only been in the area 2.5 years. And I was like, no one's going to join. I'll just throw in a couple of friends from the mom hospital group that I met, and threw those 10 friends in. And then it just exponentially grew to what it is today. And it's turned into a lead generation source, not intentionally, but I'm glad that it has. It's made my life a lot easier with my work-life balance.
Well, I love that as your first goal, right? And when the pandemic hit it in 2020, we started something called the Daily Dose. We literally did a daily podcast, and it was a daily dose of positivity and productivity. And we told them to do a couple of things. One was to narrow down their database to the people they like, and start an ambassador book, basically keeping a book on their favorite people and using VIP forms to do that. That was one activity to keep them in the loop. And they started doing care calls or what we call catastrophe calls to those people, just checking on them when the pandemic hit, right? The other thing we said to do is to start a Facebook group. And we have a group, Crown Point, Indiana, with Jana, and she's got like 38,000 people it's bigger than Crown Point, Indiana, amazingly. But it's one of those so those were the two things that we really told people to focus on in a big way. And that has really paid off handsomely. And what I love is your intent in the very beginning was not to make money, right? And honestly, you can scare off people really quickly if your first intent with the group is just to go sell, and be like that. Start a group to, like you did, to learn, right? Start a group to grow, start a group to lead, or start a group to learn. And those are the best motivations, because otherwise it's so, I mean, here's the deal. People can smell commission breath even through the internet.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
So you started this 8 years ago. And so I have to ask you, so you're getting help, you're helping, it's growing. I mean, Moms, pretty good group to grow with, because
they're loyal.
There are a lot of them, right? And there are moms in your area. So you knew that, it definitely had that kind of attraction. And what are parents looking for, right? We're looking for the manual that nobody wrote on how to raise kids. And so, like, there's no manual. Let's start a group where we can share and help and lean on each other. But I have to ask you, all right, tell me about your first lead. When did this go from what I would call nonprofit to profit to, oh my gosh, I got a lead?
So my son was maybe not even 6 months old. And one of the first people that joined the group said, "Hey, I know you're on maternity leave, or, you've taken some time with your son, and I know you sell real estate. Can you just come over to our house? We're thinking about selling our townhome." And I said, "Okay, yes." And it's an easy sell, right? You just go over and you just you just have to bring the paperwork, because they already knew, trusted me. And so since then I've helped them. So they bought another house. They recently sold that house, bought another house. And then so I sold the mom's house, the brother's house, the sister's house, and then the mom and the brother, or the mom and the mom, the sister, and the brother have also bought houses. So in the last, I don't know, a few years, it's probably been maybe 8 or 9 transactions from that one person. 8
transactions in 8 years at least. And just amazing. And you got it within 6 months. And what was cool is you weren't even trying to get leads, and you got leads. Right. And I think there's some magic in that is you were looking to help people, and people wanted to reciprocate the value and the help you were bringing. And they're like, you know what? She's a helpful person. Maybe she can help us sell our house, So I love that. And so how did you create the culture within your group?
So first and foremost, it's the rules. So I have some pretty hard and fast rules. Like, we don't, there's no bullying. There's no, you can't post that XYZ business is the worst business because they messed up my cake order, whatever your grievance is. There's no, I don't tolerate any kind of, we don't do political posts. We don't do, of course it's a mom's group, so we don't do, like formulas, best breastfeeding, but we don't do any of that kind of stuff. We're near DC. So of course, no political posts and things like that, because that can get kind of heated, but really sticking to the rules has really been, kind of creating the culture. And originally when I started the group, I was the one curating the content, right? And starting the conversations. And then people kind of learn, this is what this group's about. This is what's acceptable in here. And I think when you kind of train your group of what you want, they'll reciprocate. And of course, you've got some bad apples, and you've got to kind of be cutthroat about it and let them go. It's okay. Yep. But once you start pouring into your group and kind of showing them what you want and having a good mix of content, it starts to grow and evolve. and the group kind of does what you want it to do.
Yeah, I love it. The first thing that I thought of when you were going through that, first of all, love the rules, but I hope anybody that ever got kicked out of a mom's group does some self-reflection, because if you get kicked out of a mom's group, like what is wrong with you? I mean, literally, you need to look at it like, well, I'm just opinionated, or I'm just, and it's like, no, like you're just not. You need to learn how to get along, right? And I mean, tolerance is a big thing, right? But so I love that. And then, having some rules and being steadfast with it. So what did you do early in it to create the feedback, the interaction, the conversation? What did you do early on to really create the conversation or keep it engaging?
Yeah. So it's still what I do now. I have a content calendar, and some of it's rinse and repeat. I'm going to be 100% transparent, because just because someone saw it maybe a year ago doesn't mean they'll recommend, or they'll remember seeing it, or maybe they never saw it because the algorithm. So who's to know? So it's a mix of things. There's some giving back to the community. Today I just posted the best places to go apple picking. We're in Loudoun County. There's a huge agricultural center to our community. And then this weekend a pumpkin patch one will go out too. So I do some posts about the community, a new pizza parlor's opening, things like that. I do some fun things too. Like we all have, I had a nightmare of a morning yesterday, and it was like, drop your favorite gift to show me how your morning went. Who doesn't like that? And it's just 1 second thing, and it feeds the algorithm and it keeps engagement going. I do a little bit of real estate in there, but very minimalist. Like I'll post a little bit about maybe just a tip or a trick. There's some guides in there too that have real estate based, or I'll do some stuff that's a little bit more sly in my my real estate posting. Like the first weekend of every month, Home Depot and Lowe's does a kids workshop, right? Mm-hmm. You go for free. Your kids can make a thing. A few months back, my kids were doing, I think it was a treasure chest, and I was on my way to a listing appointment. I just shot a couple pictures and I kind of helped them do it, and then I had to leave. And I did a post on my business page and in my Facebook group, and I said, hey, I was on my way to a listing appointment. Remembered it was the first Saturday of the month at Home Depot. We're making these treasure chests. The kids and I got to do it real quick before I headed off to my appointments, and my husband got to take them to lunch. And my Facebook page, which, as we know, you have to kind of pay to play, or Facebook's not really going to show you. I think that 130 people saw it. In my Facebook group, over 5,000 people saw that post. So in a way, it was, hey, look at this free event. But it was also showing, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'm working, doing things. But it wasn't saying, I'm a real estate agent, use me. So we do a mix of that kind of content.
And that's what I love about it, right? I mean, and that's how it should be, is, hey, I'm on my way to work and I did this. And my work happens to be a listing appointment, happens to be showing a buyer, happens to be putting a sold sign up. That's always a good one, right? Hey, I was on my way to, put a sold sign up. I noticed the pumpkins are out, and, the pumpkin patch on 56th Street is open, right? So I love that. And it's one of those where, you're also kind of pushing things for moms that they didn't know before. They didn't know that the Home Depot in your area has a kids workshop every weekend. And, the fact that they're doing a treasure chest, are you kidding me? I mean, that's a great storage thing for the kids. And kids are always looking for, where do I put these little toys, or where do I put this rock that I got when I walked with my dad or my mom, right? So it's or coins, or, I think there's a ton you can do with that. You're doing a lot of good, but you're also subtly putting it in there that, hey, listen, I'm a real estate agent. And I think that's the best way to do it. Instead of just here's a house I sold, big picture of a house, anyway, I love it. Do you allow other businesses to promote inside your group, or how do you handle people who also want to get in front of moms in the Loudoun area?
So I recently changed. So at the beginning I did. As we were smaller, it was okay. And then as we've gotten with thousands of people, it's just gotten every day was a photography, cake business, this, and it just got overwhelming. So I'm a business owner, of course. So we have a couple different ways that we do it. One is I have a nurture system. So every week they're getting emails from me in the group, the members. So we do allow the businesses to do a promotion in the weekly email. That is an option. We do every Saturday post your business here, just kind of keep it together. And then I try to do a give back. Like right now it's fall photos. These, like, everyone's looking for fall photos. So I'll do a big post of, hey, if you're a local photographer and you're doing fall or winter photos, post a link below so people can schedule. And it's just a picture and everything, just to keep it condensed, because otherwise the problem is you're going to get a lot of spam, like, do this business or that business. So it really depends on if your group is small or big and what your tolerance is for that. Cause some of them can, like, we had one daycare, it was posting every couple of hours and it was just getting a little much.
Yeah. Daycare, going after moms, right? And that kind of makes sense. But what you did is, instead of being reactive with it, you're being super proactive. The other thing that you're doing that I believe every group should be doing is posting, like, what are the best pizza places, or where would you go for pizza? Well, when somebody asks about something, they can go and use your group as a resource. They can go and type in pizza, and one post is going to give them like 40 options. With the daycare, you're like, who are you guys using for daycare, right? Do you like them? Rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5. And what happens is people can use the search function at a very high level. Your group becomes a super powerful, instead of, it's like over here, it's over here, it's over here, it maybe post here, it's maybe one comment on something else. It's a string of comments, and it's one strand that kind of does it all. So I love that. That makes it so much easier to navigate, and you can answer questions so much quicker, right? Somebody says, well, I'm thinking about a daycare. What do you guys think? You can go use the search function up top and hit type in daycare, and we have a strand for that. We have a resource for that. We have them all in one place, versus them all being all over the place. So love that. That's a great way. To any other ways that you're handling businesses who want to promote themselves to the group or to the moms within your group?
We have done some paid advertising. So there's been a couple daycares again that have maybe had like a grand opening or something. So we will have them pay us if they want to do like a big promotional thing in the group. And then obviously there are businesses that I recommend, right? So I have a huge Santa party for all my clients every December, or sometime around Thanksgiving. And there's Kim, who makes my cookies. And I'll do a big post of it, because she makes these gorgeous handmade cookies for my parties, and she hand does them, and they're just stunning. And so I do a promotion for her every year, or other businesses as I use them, like my photographers and stuff like that. So I do promote other businesses in my group, because I think it's more genuine. And when mom recommends another business to a mom, typically, then it's a well vetted and a good business to use.
Yeah, I love that. Are those people that you're endorsing, are they helping sponsor your big event?
Of course, yeah. So I have Kim, who does my cookies. She cuts me a deal, and then Amber, who does my photography, does it for free.
Yeah. Okay. And so you're doing like kind sponsorship there. What is the event that you do? Just what's the title of it, and when do you do it?
Yeah. So we do Cookies with Santa. I hire a real Santa, so it's not my husband in a suit. My clients, my mom's group get to come, and Amber's taking a professional photo.
Yeah.
And it's at our clubhouse. So it's a really pretty wooden fireplace. It's really pretty. And then you get the photo in a digital form, so you can use it for your Christmas cards or your holiday cards or whatever.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Simple,
so we have about
easy, quick.
Yeah. And I split it between like my lender, my title, the photographer does it for free. The cookie, everything's sponsored. And so it cost me maybe $1,000 to do it. And we have, oh my gosh, a few hundred people come.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually can get, it varies every year. Some years I've gotten like 6 deals out of it. And sometimes it's just 2, depends on the year and what's going on. But it's always been a good pull for me, because even one sale will more than pay for the event.
So other than maybe sharing businesses that you love and recommending things, how else do you connect with your group in like a more personal way?
So I do share some of my video content that I do create around some of the newer neighborhoods that are in town. Like we have a lot of new construction. So I do share a lot of that content in there. I do have some guides that have like a buyer's guide, a relocation guide, a seller's guide in there. So it's also lead capture. We have a lot of people that relocate to our area. Mm-hmm. And they typically join my mom's group first. So it's a way for me to capture them. We're doing a school supply drive every September. This year we switched it. There's another Facebook group that all they do is adopt a teacher in August. So we pushed everyone to them because they just have amazing systems set up. So instead of everything coming to my house and me trying to push it to the public, they had it better. So we kind of pushed it to them. And then
better system for it. They were geared for it, and that's what they loved and had a passion for. So, use the group for good, and you didn't have to, rally up the troops. So
I didn't. And then we always do a big Toys for Tot poll. So we will coordinate with Toys for Tots of having drop-off areas with local businesses. So it's a way for our group to give back, because who doesn't love to donate a toy around the holidays? And it gives back to the community in that way.
Love it. All right. So can you give me like approximate numbers per year? Like year 1, how many were in the group? Year 5, year 10, like approximate. Like I know there's over 10,000 now, right?
There is. And then I've got some mini year groups. So there's probably about 15,000 altogether. The first year there probably was maybe 500. I mean, there wasn't a lot. And then once you start getting about 500 or so, like Facebook likes you and starts promoting you because they want to promote their community. So their groups. So they start feeding it up. Probably the first few years, we probably stayed under that 5,000-ish range.
Yeah.
And then the last year or so we ramped up, but probably would have a ton more. It just, there's a lot of like spammers. We don't allow any men. We don't allow other real estate agents in, things like that. So I'm really kind of selective on who we allow in, because I just, it's my group and I want to curate it the way I like to curate it.
Yeah. And you have that power of control, right? It's your group. And I love that you've got those, we're nots, right? And I think that's part of a good group is having rules and barriers so that, you keep it a certain value around certain and aligned with certain values, right? Like ours is love, generosity, and appreciation. When we see someone as maybe not doing that, then we're going to probably exclude them, so love that. And I also love that organic growth, right? So it's 500 and then it's 1,000, then it's a couple thousand. How do you think that it spread the most? Where have the most members come from, do you think?
Originally it was word of mouth. Until so it was just, okay, join this group, join that group, those kinds of things, from, other moms recommending it. And then once we kind of had it's usually 500. And at the time it might've been about that. Then Facebook's kind of started recommending us, but the majority of our members, yes, are getting recommended because they are in other groups that are similar to ours and Facebook's recommending it. But a lot of it is, just word of mouth. Hey, or, it's like, Laura has a really great group. I've got a lot of benefit from it. You need to join. Or when people join, they add all their friends in, which is really nice. And then we get, a large number of people too that are relocating to the area. So and I hate to say, but it's usually the wife that starts doing the research. The husband's getting a job change. Typically is what happens. They start searching in Facebook for, Loudoun County or Sacramento or Dallas, Texas, whatever it is. And they're looking at moms groups. And so we're the first one that pulls up and they join our group, which then they get some relocation stuff sent to them, which is kind of our sly way of using, use me.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps feed it too, is we get some people with the government nearby that are relocating or are looking to relocate. So some join, but end up not. And then that's okay.
Yeah. So you're saying that Laura Griffin is the preferred realtor of the Loudoun Moms group, right? On the relocation guide. So as it should be, so contact this person for relocating to Loudoun. I mean, that just makes sense. And
then they get drip emails too. If I know that they're relocating when they answer a specific question when they're joining. Yeah.
Love it. All right. And so how else does your group lead to business, do you think?
It's just kind of like referral. I mean, it's the know, like, and trust factor, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we do post in the group of, because we're allowed to advertise our coming soons in our area 21 days before. So sometimes we do advertise, and it's a big lead generation too. Whenever I go on a listing appointment, it's like, hey, I can get your house in front of, 10,000 people that are, not all are going to buy, but they probably know someone who's looking to buy your house.
Right.
In our group. So I do leverage the group in that way of using our coming soon listings in there. which has been a big thing because, I mean, obviously in other parts of the country is the same way. We're short on listings, right? So we don't have enough houses. So there's a ton of buyers looking in our groups that are maybe potentially wanting to buy that house before it hits the market or know that it's coming and maybe do a before market offer.
Love it. I mean, that is a benefit. It should be used as a benefit. You should totally leverage that, right? I've got this community of, raving fans who are either willing to buy it or they're willing to share it. And, I've got this army of ambassadors for your house, right? You don't hire me. You're also hiring 15,000 other people, right? Mm-hmm. So I love the leverage of that and the usage of it. And so like, all right, so what's been your biggest challenge with the group?
My biggest challenge has been, so I hate being sold things, right? Like buying a car is the worst thing to me. I don't like the salesy. I don't like the slimy, which is probably why I hated doing online leads when I first started. I probably lost my broker tens of thousands of dollars, and he'll admit it. Maybe 100,000, I don't know, in leads. But I don't. And so at the beginning, I kind of did struggle a little bit with like, I'm a realtor, but I don't want to stand up and say every 5 minutes, I'm a real estate agent. You got to use me. I'm the best, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Like we all like to do, right?
Yeah.
And so that has been really hard for me.
No, we don't like to do. Right. I mean, yeah. Nobody likes to do that.
shiny award, as there's awards by me. Yeah. And so it's been a balancing act, and I've fallen on my face, and I've learned what works and what doesn't work, of course. And I went to a lot of different conferences. I went to actually some mom conferences when I first started, and learned some different techniques of, because there were other lines of business that were using Facebook groups as their main lead in sales generation, and where real estate wasn't. And so I went to a couple conferences and learned some different tips and tricks about how to do it more slyly, like with the Home Depot post. Yeah. And like one of my favorite posts is, if there's one thing you could change about your house, what would it be? Yeah. And then I can see all the comments. And what's nice about it is I can see who's saying they've outgrown their home, who's this, and I can then data mine those people and start marketing to them because I know they're thinking. Yeah, the person that says we really need a 3-car garage, and they live in a 2-car garage, and in that same neighborhood there are 3-car garages, or there's similar homes at a similar price that they could have with a 3-car garage. I mean, it's like, hey, if you want a 3-car garage, here's 11 of them or 10 or whatever. So love that. What do you think was the biggest mistake that you've made and overcome with the group, if any? You know what? The biggest mistake I made, and I made it recently, was I had a couple of friends that were lenders, and they were in my group. I was like, it's not a real estate agent, whatever. And one person was relocating to the area, and I talked to her, and we had a great appointment. And she said, hey, I'm going to XYZ lender, who's also in your group, reached out, and I'm having a meeting with XYZ lender. And I said, okay, great, and followed up. And she said, actually, XYZ lender said not to use you as the real estate agent. You need to use this person. And at that moment, I had realized that in the last few months, a few of the leads had kind of changed. And it was like, because she can see in the group too, when people are looking for real estate agents. So she's going behind and doing the DMing. And so I've learned that I don't allow lenders now except for I have a preferred lender, although it's a man, but his wife's in the group. But I don't let any lenders into my group anymore, because I just realized right now business is scarce and people are cutthroat. Yeah. I learned the hard way. Yeah. Yeah. And they were kind of undermining you, right? I mean, they weren't kind of, they were literally and blatantly undermining you. So, I mean, that's part of the deal. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're talking about Facebook groups and not Facebook pages. And can you differentiate between a Facebook page, what you use it for, and your Facebook group and what you're using it for? Yeah. So, I mean, as a real estate agent, you have to have a Facebook page, right? Because people are going to look you up and they're going to make sure you're legitimate, and it's social proof. A Facebook group is a group of, it's a group that you run as your personal self. Obviously, my business runs it as well, because I like to have the branding at the bottom. So my Facebook page is an admin. But a group is basically it's a daily conversation happening with multiple people inside the group, whereas a page is you're just posting stagnant reels or just content posts and things like that. So you have to have both, but I don't pay for any ads on my Facebook page or anything like that. I was gonna say, you can't
pay for ads with, if you're going to have Facebook advertising, you have to have a page, and it doesn't matter if you have a group or not, but where you typically will get the most amount of leads, interaction, conversation, lessons is going to be in that group. That group is interactive. That group is a living, breathing thing. The page is kind of like a resume where you can advertise some things that you're doing professionally. It's much more professional. The group is much more personal. That leads to quite a bit of professional, right? So what has been your biggest positive surprise with the group? Like, was something that's wowed you or surprised you in a good way?
I never realized how much, if you turn into, just because I'm the admin of the group, everyone thinks they know me. And you become a celebrity in your community. And, we'll go to Target or the farmer's market, and I get stopped with my kids all the time, and they just go, ugh, Mom, you're so embarrassing. You got to talk to these people. But I get stopped all the time, and people will ask me questions or say, hey, I was having a hard time with this, or I was looking for the best pediatrician, and your group helped me. And that's a good feeling. It's not, I make 22 million, I did $22 million of sales last year in my group. That's great. But it's the community aspect of it, of like, I have providing something of value. And so whether, you're looking for a pediatrician or you're just looking for someone to vent because being a mom is super hard, then I'm glad that I can provide that space for people because it's so needed in every community.
Yeah, I nailed it. That's what I love about all of this, right? Is you became a celebrity through generosity, right? You're providing value and helping people, and that's where your heart was. And the nice thing too is you also didn't, when there was a business opportunity, you didn't throw up your hand and stop it, right? You weren't just like, oh, no, I better not list your property because I'm that's not my intent of the group. It's like you're open-armed and welcoming the opportunity and let's go. And I love how you become a local celebrity because you've been helping a lot of people. That's what a hero is, right? Not all heroes wear capes, and you're a hero to a lot of moms because you've helped them. And that's
I share my story, and that's part of it too. It's, they know, like, and trust me. And like, my daughter has ADHD and autism, and my son has a vision impairment. And, I talk about those things. Like, it's hard having a child with ADHD, and it's hard, this and that. And they feel like they know me because I'm able to share my life and what it's like. And they recognize my kids all the time too, which is they don't like it, but that's okay.
I love it. All right. So what's next for your Facebook group? What's next? What are some things that you're going to do differently in the future?
This last year, I really leaned into the nurturing of them. I've had their emails forever, and I was just sending out the boring, like, real estate newsletter once a month, which is so bad. And this year I started changing it to curate content that like had a purpose, right? And adding events to it that were community based and things like that. So giving back to them again, and also curating content that I think that they would enjoy. And that is working on that. And so having a weekly email was hard. I've had to write some of them, and I paid a copywriter and I used ChatGPT to write some of them. And so really leaning into that, I'm kind of fine tuning it because there's some weeks that are really good open rates and some weeks are not so good. So I'm trying to craft that in a better way, and also setting up some more drip systems. So that way, when I know someone's raising their hand because they're having a life moment, something's, having another baby, because I would say 90% of my clients are trade up. So they had a townhome or a condo, had another baby, and then they're trading up to a bigger house. So putting in some more nurture systems in place for those types of clients. I put the relocation clients together last November. And so kind of fine tuning some of those nurture systems because, the magic is also in the follow-up, right?
That's right.
And people remembering you, maybe not today, but 3 years from now.
Yeah. And so the content that you're curating, is it more mom friendly or is it more segmented to where they are in the marketplace real estate wise?
It's a little mixed. So we did one recently where Labor Day, my copywriter helped with it. Labor Day is like the mom's holiday because, we think of Labor Day, but also because the kids go back to school. So we're kind of like, it's our freedom. So I do some fun things. And then an email that went out last week was, it's September. And so the grass is still green here in Northern Virginia. And so if you're thinking about selling your house in the spring, contact me now so we can start putting together a plan and we can take some of your exterior photos before everything kind of gets yucky. Yep. So it's kind of a mix. It's got some funny like stuff about life, and then it's got some stuff of, hey, winter's coming, holidays are coming, or is your house organized? Are you starting to get some stuff together? And then some real estate based stuff.
Love it. All right. And then, so here's what happens, right? Is you're doing this and you're being successful with it. And then other people are like, I want to do that. So you've recently started something where you're not just helping moms, you're helping real estate agents, you're helping other people develop their groups to the point where they're getting leads, they're getting referrals from it. Can you tell me a little bit more about Groups to Leads and groupstoleads.com?
Yeah. So last year, for 2022, I was named the number four salesperson in our brokerage out of over 1,000 agents.
Wow.
And one of the agents came up to me after the award ceremony, and she's like, "How did you do it? Like, your mom, I see you online. You're like, you're busy. How do you do all these things?" And I said, it was my Facebook group. And so she asked if I could help her with creating one for her area. And I kind of dawned on me, I was like, wait, like, you guys don't know this? Like, it's so easy. So I started a program called Groups to Leads, and it's all about teaching real estate agents how to start a Facebook group, how to set it up properly, how to create content, how to grow it, and then how to nurture it and how to extrapolate leads out of your group. Because so often I find some agents will start a group and they're like, I didn't hit, there's not 10,000 people in my group, and I started it last month and I haven't got one lead. It's like, okay, wait, we got to put on the training wheel and get you started. You got to go to kindergarten first, and then we got to kind of get there. So I started doing some coaching. There's monthly coaching calls and things like that to kind of help walk people through the process, because even naming the group properly is like one of the most important things. And I find a lot of people start groups and they're not even named appropriately for them to be able to get leads.
What are some tips and tricks on naming your Facebook group? Like what would you suggest?
Yeah. So I live in Loudoun County. So mine's the Loudoun Moms. So if you're searching moving to Loudoun, you're going to put in Loudoun, right? So it pops up. So if you're in Sacramento, California, Sacramento Moms, or you could be, a community group if you don't want to do a mom's list, but you've got to have your name of your county, city, area in your name, because Google or Facebook is like a big search engine like Google, right? So when people are moving or people in your area are looking for groups to join, they're going to search by location name. And if it's not in there, you're really leaving money on the table and you're not getting people to come to your group. Well,
and here's the other thing. Real estate is a local business, right? It's hyper local, if anything. So, just having this friends helping friends group is not going to, but if you have Crown Point helping friends, then that says it all, right? You're all about Crown Point, or you're all about Loudoun, or whatever it may be. So I think that's a really key feature that people miss out on is making it way too narrow, or they just like it's like nobody would ever search for it, right? Because it's not about a county or a city or a location or not well defined enough, right? So how many people live in Loudoun County?
We're at 500,000. So we're a bunch of little towns combined together. So we don't really have like a big city. So that's why I picked Loudoun. And it's the most searched. I looked it up. It was the most searched thing versus like Leesburg, Virginia, or Ashburn.
Well, that's what I was going to say, right? You probably live in Leesburg, or you live in Ashton, or you live in one of those areas, and it's just, that's a little bit too small, right? So, and that's not what necessarily people search for, right? Most of them are searching for, Loudoun County to live in, So I love that. That's great advice. Any other, like you said that you went to a mom conference and you got some tips and tricks on, how to present the post in a good way, like this more subtle, sly approach, if you will. What other tips and tricks did you learn from that conference that has helped you with the group?
Setting up the guides was really impactful, because it was it had just kind of rolled out. No one was really using it. And a lot of people use it. Even in groups I'm in now, they use the files, which people can edit and delete. Like, don't use your files in your groups. But if you use the guides, it's where all your content can be curated. So a guide is almost like a file folder, right? So you can have relocation, you can have buyer's guides, you can have fun free kid activities in your county, you can have where are the best preschools, you can have all these different things in file folders. And if you keep pushing your members to there, there's all this treasure trove of information, and you can see how many people looked at it too. And you can put videos there. And if people can see you in video, I think you translate better and people will like you better, and they feel like they know you and potentially will use you based on your video because they can see you versus if you just have, stagnant guides in there or just papers, PDFs.
Yeah, I love that. On the video thing, that's I think that's interesting about our YouTube channels. Like they love the Referrals podcast, and then they go see the YouTube channel and they see what I really look like, and they no longer tune in anymore, Laura. I don't know how we're gonna fix that. So what I do is I have really attractive guests, and that's really worked for me. So for those of you watching, you need to tune into YouTube channel. So check us out. But all right. So I love that tip and trick. All right. Everybody needs to go to groups2leads.com. They need to check out what you're doing with the training and the coaching and growing those groups. Any other like final words of wisdom for somebody who's maybe hesitant to start a group or is wondering, is creating a group for me?
Yeah. So the one thing I say is, how much are you spending per month on your, not to pick on like Zillow and Trulia and, and homes.com and stuff, but think about that. I hear so many agents, I'm spending $3,000-$5,000 a month on these leads. I'm like, oh, how many leads are you getting and how many are they and how many are converting? Or I had one agent I was talking to the other day, they were spending $6,000 a month on Facebook like ads.
Wow.
And I was like blown away. I'm like, well, how much are you? And I did $22 million in sales last year. This person was spending that and had only made or done $8 million in sales.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wait a second, I spent way less than you, and I was able to convert at a higher rate. So think about it and know that it's not a like a one day thing. Like it's not going to be instant gratification, but if you put into it, and you start it now and keep it going. Like last year, I took 4 months off. I had a family emergency. I needed to take care of someone. And I still had leads coming in. I referred them out, and that's okay. But my business still went. Whereas if I was on like a lead system or mailing postcards or door knocking, open houses, my business would have stopped to a grinding halt for those 4 months. And my family would have suffered financially. So it's also a great thing to have running in the background of your business and having systems set up where that way, if something happens to you, the business just keeps going. And I think the biggest concern people have is no one's going to join my group. They will join the group if you set it up right and you name it right and you don't mess up your algorithm. So like my Aunt Carol lives in Nebraska and I love her to pieces, but I'm not letting her join my group
right.
and all her little friends because I don't want to script the algorithm. I want to keep it hyper local.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to do that. And I think if you're genuine and just pour into your group with content, you'll get it back. Like I said, it's not going to be tomorrow, but you will definitely see it in a few months. And then if you're wondering if a Facebook group is a thing for you, if you go to groups2leads.com/webinar, I have a free webinar. It talks you through kind of how to start it and how to get it going. It's a free webinar to watch, but it'll kind of get you sampling and see if this is what's right for you. And I 100% think it's probably the best ROI there is because it's free.
Well, the other thing is the other ways that you can leverage it, right? Is you can leverage it with your listings and your buyers. Is say, hey, when you work with me, you don't just get one, you get 15,000 other people working for you. The other thing too is it reverse works. Is that when you have events, that is like we have referral mastery system, which has self mastery, relationship mastery, and event mastery. And event mastery is taken off, right? Many people, over 1,000 people that we're helping right now, run events and run an event series for the year, and ready-made sponsors, right? So these 10 to 15,000 are attendees for your event. There's knowing people online, then there's meeting them IRL. And that's when it takes off, right? That relationship just goes to another level. And you have this group that's also, great for sponsors, great for attendees, great for helpers. Hey, I'm doing an event, would 3 or 4 of you mind helping me? And then you thank them in a really powerful way. Listen, that's why we lived in tribes. That's why we live in cities is so we can help each other, so we can leverage each other's talents and skills and experiences and everything else. And why, who wouldn't want to build a community? Who wouldn't want to build a tribe, and I will tell you that if you're an introvert watching this, like me, I will tell you the best place to hide is in a Facebook group. The best place to hide is in a large room, a large event. And that sounds a little counterintuitive, but it's actually the best thing to do. If you are an introvert, you need to build a group, because you're not going to speak highly about yourself. You're not going to run around and meet a lot of people. You're not. You know what you should do? Have a group full of extroverts. Have a group full of moms who are talkers, right? And
100%.
They will talk to people for you. And that is leverage. And that is the one-to-many strategy of event mastery. So I love all of this. Laura, you're knocking it out of the park. Kudos and congrats on all your accomplishments. But honestly, even better than the accomplishments is kudos for being a leader and a celebrity in your community that is helping in a big way. You are a model of the generosity generation, in my opinion. And I just really appreciate having you on here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. And I'm an introvert extrovert. I get you I'd rather stand in the corner of a big room and just let my husband talk to everybody.
Same exact with me. I'd much rather be the guide on the side and just let them go to town on talking. And what's so funny is I'm literally listening to them talk about me from 10 feet away. And I'm over here going, oh, that's so good. That's so good. They really think that about me, but I would never say that about me, and it's just like, it's kind of the anti-braggadocio way of doing business. So I love it. This has been fantastic. I truly appreciate it. For those of you that are listening or watching, do me a favor, go to groupstoleads.com, check out what Laura's doing. It's all great stuff. And I'll tell you, the other thing, that while you're on the internet, while you're checking things out, hey, join us in the generosity generation. Join gengen.com, or go on Facebook and look for Gengen, GENGEN, and answer a few questions. We'll let you into our Facebook group and you kind of see what we're doing as well. But the bottom line is this is one of those that you're going to refer back to over and over and over again, because I truly believe it's one of the things that everybody should have done in 2020. Like, it's one of those things. It's like, when's the best time to plant a tree, right? The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Well, when was the best time to build a relationship? It was probably 10 years ago. When's the second best time to build a relationship? It's right now. Facebook group. When was the best time to build a Facebook group? 2020. When is the second best time to build a Facebook group? Today. So I'm just saying, this is one of those that you're going to listen over and over again. And I will tell you, everybody here, listen, I also know next week's podcast and how it goes with this one. You cannot miss next week's Referrals podcast. It totally goes with this one, fits perfectly, and you're going to learn a ton. And guess what? I can't wait to see you on next week's Referrals podcast. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.